Let's begin a look at the papers this morning with the Nigerian Tribune. FG declares suspension of Edo LG chairman illegal. Stories on page 2. With July 11 Supreme Court judgment, removal of LG chairman is prerogative of LG legislative arm, as according to AGF. The details on the inside pages. The Guardian newspaper, how inflation stole Christmas. And look at what Santa Claus is doing. Anyway, the details you'll find on the inside pages. The Daily Times newspaper, 2025 budget will transform Nigeria if fully implemented. That's from the Deputy Senate President. The Nigerian News Direct has Ibadan Fun Fair Stampede. Tinubu Oni sympathized with victims' families as death toll hits 35. FG orders probe. Oni offers support for victims' families, calls for improved safety measures. That story is on page 3 of the paper. Blueprint has Wike revokes Buhari Foundation, Abbas Akume Honore's land titles. FCT IRS recounts achievements, sets bold targets for 2025. Business Day, 16 trillion naira debt burden outstrips security education budgets. Experts fear budget may not deliver tangible gains. Tinubu Shetima to spend 8.74 billion naira on local international trips. And the details of that story on the inside pages. This Nigeria landing in trouble. FCT Minister Wike revokes lands of prominent Nigerians for failing to pay statutory bills and charges. Buhari, Abbas, Akume, others affected. Stories on page 9. Vanguard newspaper, health risks worsen as 48 million Nigerians practice open defecation. The details of that story on page 14 of the paper. These are the papers we have for you this morning.
Well, those are the headlines this morning. It's a very interesting morning in the papers, and I think it all started from a lot of things that happened yesterday and how people are feeling about a lot of the things that have happened during the week. But I'm going to stay in the FCT, if I may.
How did I know?
I'm going to stay in the FCT.
Irresistible, right?
It's so juicy. It's such a juicy story. But I'm going to start with the Leadership Friday. The Leadership Friday paper today. Wike, non-payment of fees. Wike revokes Buhari, Abbas, 757 others, Abuja land titles. And that's not where they're stopping. The FCT authorities say they're going to withdraw property rights of 614 other people. And former President Muhammadu Buhari saying the seized land is not his. It was his spokesperson, Garba Shehu, that spoke up about it. You can actually get more details from page 4 of the Leadership newspaper this Friday morning. But you see, it reminds me of when those names were put on. I think it was the This Nigeria newspaper. Mm-hmm. It was some months ago. We decided when we picked up the papers in the morning, they were really bulky. Mm-hmm. And we kept wondering what's going on with these papers. And the FCT authority said, look, we have a situation in Abuja where people have been given lands, they don't have the C of O, they haven't regularized their documentation, and many people haven't paid ground rent. There's a lot that has to be done. Remember that in the FCT, and this is a very important note, all of the land in the FCT belongs to the government. So when they tell you you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this, go get it done. Go get it done. So you don't find your name in a newspaper or have your land rights revoked, as we've seen in these cases. And like we saw from the leadership this morning, they're not stopping there. They're going to be revoking more lands. They said 614 more. So go find out the status of your plot of land. Find out if you're done with your documentation. Go to Aegis. All right, go to Aegis here in Abuja. Find out what your status is. Know what's outstanding. Get it done. So you don't go on social media crying when your land is revoked. All right, so that's just my message to everyone in Abuja, because a lot of people have been upset with everything that's going on. So many people sending messages, oh, this happened to me. Why did this happen? How could this happen? I got the land in 1983. Well, what happened afterwards? They told us, but we didn't know. They didn't know. Now you know. Go find out what your situation is, sort out that paperwork, and own your land and live peacefully in the nation's capital, Malcolm.
Indeed, Kayla, while we encourage people to, find out what the real status of their land is and to regularize whatever payments they need to make to the FCT authorities, I will also plead with the FCT authorities to make sure that payment and regularization is done efficiently and is easy to do. It will be a real shame that all of these activities are going on and people are finding it very difficult to either make payment or that there is plenty of inefficiency, within the land authorities themselves. But hey, to be forewarned, they say, is to be forearmed. The issue looking at me this morning, there are a number of stories really that are taking my fancy on the front page, but I mean, we cannot just quickly forget the tragedy that happened in Ibadan. And, Kayla, something occurred to me that it will seem that it's almost every year now, that every year end. Last year, Ibadan had a tragedy. There was an explosion that took over most of Bodija, and people lost their property. To this year now, it is 35 children that are losing their lives in a stampede that could have been avoided. So I think that the governor of Oyo State really needs to up the game when it comes to safety and security, when it comes to safety in particular, because it would seem that all of the tragedies that have happened within Ibadan, I'm not trying to single out the governor, but I think that this is a pattern that we have now noticed, and I want to believe that, yes, that authorities within the Oyo State government too should have taken note of and perhaps begin to say, what other areas are we overlooking that, any tragedy can occur? Is there something, we have a very strong, safety agency that can help mitigate the effect? I mean, accidents occur, but they do not have to be so tragic. In this instance, 35 children, it's a major, major tragedy, more so because we're speaking about children. So while we'll continue to sympathize and mourn with those who have lost, their lives and they've lost their children, the biggest way to actually mourn these people is to make sure that such a tragedy never happens again. So I think that the Oyo State government really needs to up its game. And this is not just the Oyo State government, because it's sad. I think what is really sad now is that this always happens around the Yuletide season. So in the season when everybody should be celebrating, we'll be mourning or we'll be sad. It's not supposed to be. Sadly, a lot of states are dropping the ball around safety issues. Is it around, especially water safety? So by all means in this season, while it is a season to make merry and be happy, I mean, looking at the videos yesterday, Kayla, my heart really broke. I saw parents taking their children gaily dressed to that carnival, and many of them didn't come back with their kids.
It was such a tragedy.
That is painful. So by all means, this is not just the Oyo State government. While we'll plead with the Oyo State government to take a look at that, I think that it should also be a lesson to all the other state governments to, keep an eye on. It's not the season for governments to go and sleep. Everybody else is holidaying. It's the season for you to work. So all of the fun fair areas, the carnival areas, markets, this is a dry season as well, where a spark, sets off flames like that. So by all means, let's get our safety game up in this season so that we don't cry for nothing. Ayo.
Well, it's really, really touching. It's difficult to go off of that story because it's, as we say, he who feels it knows it. And I don't know the kind of Christmas the families are going to have this time around. How merry is it going to be knowing that your children have died, or that some of your children are in hospital or something? I don't know, but let's see what we can do as a people to even help ourselves. I'm talking about state governments. Let me go to Edo State. And clearly, of course, ladies, you know what's been happening in Edo State, where the state government, through the House of Assembly, made a declaration about the local government chairman. And of course, we know what the PDP has said, that it is illegal. And the Attorney General of the Federation, on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, also made the same comment and says, look, guys, forget it. It is not something that is possible. That since July 11, 2024, when the Supreme Court made that pronouncement, removal of local government chairmen is a prerogative of LG, legislative arm, local government legislative arm. In other words, it has to start from there. That's according to the Attorney General of the Federation. So when the claims are being made, that's because the local government chairman didn't submit financial records and all of that, I guess we're going to see, how this is all going to play out. Because don't forget, one of the issues that's been in the news about that judgment of the Supreme Court is in its execution, in how it is going to be applied. So we're waiting to see how all of this is going to evolve over time. The government made the statement, maybe through the House of Assembly, and the local government chairman said, sorry, you can't suspend us. And right there, they are in office. So, but then, how is this all going to play out? I guess we'll see over time. That's my take this morning, Malpe.
Well, that's where we leave our look at the papers this morning. We'll take a break and we'll be right back. Please stay with us.